I said that I would produce a video introducing the recommended field HT for AmRRON deployments and supporting local operations and why. We're going to do that right now. I'm talking about the Btech UV Pro HT right here. Many of you guys have been picking these up and we've been testing with them, and that testing continues. So what I want to do is introduce you to the radio. This is not going to be a comprehensive setup video, but we want to talk about some of the features that it has, why we chose to even look for a radio that would support us during deployments and operations and local operations as well. There are a couple of items that I want to address as well, some things that kind of concern me, and I thought these through or learned more about them, and I'll share those with you as well. So this started with the deployment. The discussion began with the deployment to Hurricane Helene in Tennessee and North Carolina. We ran into several challenges there on the ground. Now, I have an AAR that I'm working on because this radio addresses many of the issues that we experienced where we could identify improvements that could be made, but this only takes care of part of what we ran into. So let's talk about that. First of all, we had an issue tracking multiple teams who were spread out over multiple locations in very rugged mountainous terrain. The repeaters were very limited that we had access to, and those were voice only. There was a very limited number of repeaters due to damage and the remote location. And also later on in the deployment, we actually had locals who became hostile toward operations that were taking place on the air. They decided they no longer wanted their repeater to be used. So it made it very difficult with jamming, intentional interference with teams that were trying to communicate with each other. Also, there were active aircraft, mostly rotary wing, operating in the area. And we did have one transceiver that one of our teams was able to talk to one of the pilots. But other than that, we didn't really have situational awareness about what was going on in the air. And there was quite a bit happening. So the other item is programming the radios. We had teams and individual operators that were deploying it on a rotational basis. And so we would have a team of several operators on the ground with more on the way, en route, inbound, and we were giving them the local frequencies to program into their radios prior to departure. So when they came into the area, they were already good to go. Well, the problem was the situation became very fluid. Repeaters that we were unaware of became available and operational. Repeaters that we thought we could count on became inoperable. And so our communications plan changed. So we had guys rolling up with their radios programmed completely differently than what the teams actually on the ground had to adopt and change. Also, the austere operating conditions was very hard on some of the equipment. Mud or dust, dirt, water, inclement weather, especially on these cheaper Baofeng radios, was wreaking havoc on some of the equipment in the field. Now, data modes. We do have and use regularly digital communications or data modes, but those were limited to HF. We place a lot of emphasis on data modes on the HF bands, and that's what our operators were using or had available to them. But it would have been great to have local 2-meter VHF, UHF data modes like packet. It would have been a game changer. Also, laptops in the field, very doable, but they are more bulky. They require at least 12 volts of power and varying battery capacities are required from one radio to, one laptop to another, 19.6 volts, or this one takes 12 volts. So those can change. So we're looking for some solutions, and that brought us to the Btech UV Pro. At least it addresses some of the issues, and as I had mentioned, they are very open to updates, and we've got a very tech capable team that's working on solutions and offering solutions. By the way, some folks have asked, hey, I bought one of these, can I get put on your evaluation team? We're not adding anybody else. This has been underway for a month, and there would be so much to get caught up on, and so much ground has been covered in research and development, and a lot of brainstorming on improvements and things that are actually being worked on right now, modifications that we can potentially even incorporate into some apps that we might be working on. So you'd be so far behind the curve. We're just going to let the tech team that's already on it continue on with what they're doing. But these also are IP67 rated, so they're rated for shock. They're rated for, that means like drop, shock, impact. Also submersible for several minutes, up to 1 meter underwater, and dust resistance. They also have a built-in KISS TNC. That's fairly new to ham radio. There are a lot of them out there, but and some of this might not really sound that important to you. What is a TNC? Well, it's a terminal node controller, which for packet radio, digital data modes over your local VHF, UHF, requires a terminal node controller. This was something in ham radio before the internet and before email. And so it was pretty revolutionary in the 80s. It's starting to really make a comeback, but that right there is the PK232, the pack rat. That is a terminal node controller. So that's what you got to pack with you out in the field if you want to use packet and connect and send emails and whatnot over packet. Well, then the industry responded, and outfits like Cantronics came out with the compact version of a TNC. This was revolutionary. Well, now through software, they're actually incorporating TNCs built into the firmware and the software of radios. So this eliminates the need for these big bulky boxes that were providing packet data communications, and now we have that right in our hands inside of the same radio. So that's why I thought I would throw that out there. Some people are saying, what is a TNC? Got a lot of newer folks and various levels of exposure. So also, this has a built-in GPS, super important out there in austere conditions. Very compact, low power consumption, no cables because you are pairing using Bluetooth. This is a huge deal. No laptop required, just a cell phone in your back pocket and the radio. And once you turn the radio on and pair, you don't even have to touch your radio again. You can operate the entire thing through apps on the radio. And of course, the apps are really easy to control. So let me take you real quick here to the website. I want to show you Btech.com if you haven't already seen it, and many of you have. Which, by the way, if don't forget, if you use and compare the price to like Amazon, this radio with the discount from Btech, it's 10% off, and it's the discount code AmRRON, AmRRON, and that will get you a 10% discount on these. But let's look at some of the highlights of the features. Of course, you can pair with a with an app. It's free to download, and actually several apps. We're successfully using APRS Droid and what's called WOAD or WOAD. It's WinLink over Android, which is very valuable for sending texts and emails from a grid down location through the WinLink system. We don't officially use WinLink as far as AmRRON's communications plan, but in this type of an environment where you're not as concerned with OPSEC or COMSEC, you're trying to get the traffic out there and make emergency traffic happen, then WinLink is a very valuable tool when you don't have security concerns or personal security, PERSEC, personnel security information type of concerns. And of course, the KISS TNC through Bluetooth. We already talked about that. Here's something really important: synchronizing the channels across devices. This was a huge factor with multiple teams on the ground and other teams showing up who have their radios programmed per the instructions, but things on the ground changed. With these radios, wirelessly, you can program one radio to the other. So Team A is on the ground, Team B shows up into the AO, and they hold their radios up. They scroll through their menu to identify this selection in the menu. One of them goes into receive mode, one goes into send mode, and in seconds, your new arriving teammates' radios are programmed, matching everybody else on the team, and then you can hit the ground running. You're not fumbling with cables and getting out my laptop and getting out my chirp program and, oh, it's not talking to it and I don't know why, and everything else. The audio relay, this is something very similar to, it operates the same as a simplex repeater that oftentimes many of us have in our kits. You can take a radio and hoist it up into a tree up on a ridge and provide simplex communications down into the valleys on both sides of a ridge where you got two parties able to communicate with each other. What it does is it records your voice and then it forwards it. So as soon as you're done speaking and you release the push to talk button, it immediately replays back your transmission. So you're hearing yourself again, but the other guy down in the valley on the other side of the ridge, he's hearing you and he can respond, and it will record his voice and immediately release it and replay it back where you can hear his response. So this could be very functional if you don't have a simplex repeater with you. Maybe on your team, you've got enough of these radios, you can sacrifice one to put up on the ridge and act as a simplex repeater. I already mentioned IP67 waterproof, dustproof. The NOAA weather alerts are built into this. Frequency synchronization and rapid scanning. This is a pretty cool feature. It is a fast scanner, and it will go through and lock on, and it will program the frequencies that it picks up on. And also this has a tone scanning as well. So somebody on the same frequency as you, but they're using a CTCSS tone or a PL tone that is blanking you out. They can't hear you. You can detect that code or that tone and add that into the radio, so then you can speak to them. Because otherwise you have no idea what tone they're using. You can hear them, but they can't hear you if they're using one of those subaudible tones. And remember, we're going to be going over each of the features here in detail for you. So the airband, this has airband capability for receiving. So if you have aircraft operating in your area, it gives you situational awareness about what they're saying, what they're planning, and how they're maneuvering and talking to each other. This has APRS, which is automatic packet reporting system, so that you can track team members. Now this does upload to the APRS websites, so you can go to aprs.fi and look at the map and see people all over the world that are using APRS that's reporting their positions to this system. It's kind of fun. I've always looked at it as like kind of a toy. Doesn't really have any place in my world, but this changed it because you can change these settings so that you are not reporting to the servers. And I'm going to address that here in just a little bit. The USB-C charging batteries that should be the standard, like Anderson power pole connectors. USB-C should be in all of our equipment. As you acquire equipment, if one has USB-C and one does not, go with the one that has USB-C charging. It just uses minimal power consumption. It is becoming a universal charging system, and I highly recommend it. So that meets the standard there that we are looking for as well. As far as Bluetooth accessories, I wanted to point out also they have wireless microphones, like what you see in the picture here, where this guy is holding that in his hand. It is connected through Bluetooth, so no cables, no nothing hanging down. In fact, these will also connect to Sena, like motorcycle helmets and other Bluetooth communications devices. Now, I know I'm going through a lot of this stuff very quickly. A lot of you guys that are experienced radio operators, you're tracking with what I'm saying. For those of you who aren't, and this sounds foreign to you, don't worry, help is on the way. We are going to set up step-by-step instructions. That's one of the things I'm kind of holding off on. Tango Bravo 14, the project manager for this UV Pro testing and evaluation group and working group, is working up very detailed, and those of you who know his work, you're going to be able to count on it. Okay, step-by-step guide for setting everything up, including where to get the apps. You can get these from the Google Play Store, but we're going to give you a workaround so you don't have to use the Play Store and not give Google any more information than they need. So just as an example, there's a couple things that have come up, like anytime you start setting up APRS, it's going to prompt you for a passcode. What in the world is a passcode? Well, this is a hash, a checksum of your FCC call sign. So it's not really a password. It's just a passcode that you need to enter before it will allow you to proceed with setting up APRS. Some of you guys are moving ahead and trying to get things set up, and you're running into little things like this. So just real quick, you can just do an internet search for APRS passcode generator. There are a ton of them. So I'm just pulling this one up here, DO3 SWW. He's got a APRS passcode generator. You simply put in your call sign, and I'll just make one up here at WXYZ, or let's see, W1XYZ. There we go. And you hit enter, and there's your passcode, 9866. It will be 9866 as long as you're using that call sign. It will require 9866, which is the checksum of the characters in that call sign, and the APRS then will accept it and allow you to proceed with your APRS setup, whether you're using APRS Droid or Yak or setting it up inside the UV Pro radio itself. Pretty much anytime you're setting up APRS, it's going to prompt you for this passcode. That's how you get that. How to switch from A to B, channel A and channel B, like we're so used to. They don't have them labeled as channel A and channel B on these radios. And what that means is when you are in dual watch, in other words, you have two different frequencies or two channels displayed and listening to on your radio at one time. All right, just go back to their website and find a good picture of their radio. So this one right here, you see the little red button right there? You press and hold that for 1 second, and that will switch you between channel A and channel B on your display. Now, there are some things that I had some concerns. I wouldn't say concerns, but I had questions about. And some folks have said, man, this is too tech, too over the top for me. It's over my head. Well, we are going to help you with that. Like I said, help is on the way. Many of you are kind of tech-minded, way more than me. But if I can do it, you can do it. And with this guidance coming up, the videos we're going to be producing, which you may not even need if you just go through the guide that Tango Bravo 14 is working up, it will walk you through step by step on how to set this stuff up. And once you do, it's super simple. The app does all the work for you. You just, but we're gonna help you with this. All right. The other question, this is a concern for me, and many of you. My cell phone I don't have room for any more stuff on it. But what you can do is, like for example, this one right here is just a smartphone. You can pick up a Walmart smartphone or pick a used one up, somebody that has one laying around. This one doesn't even have an active phone number or a SIM card in it. I kind of basically use it as a tablet. But this is dedicated to ham radio apps and functionality. And the difference between this and a tablet, this has a GPS built into it for receiving. It doesn't transmit anything GPS, but I can receive GPS, which feeds your location data even off grid. And I've tested this and it worked great. I would say if you don't have the room on your phone, or you're concerned about adding more stuff or mixing your personal life or professional life, you're running a business and you got all this ham radio stuff on here. These things are affordable enough now. Get one dedicated just for ham radio. APRS tracking. Now, I stayed away from APRS for a while. For me, it's a toy. It's part of the hobby, and it's fun and it's amusing to be able to track your buddies and so on. But for search and rescue or for real world deployments, this could be extremely valuable to know where your teams are. If you're concerned about being tracked, like most of us are concerned about, because we're already tracked all the time and it irritates us, right? If I'm dealing with a grid down emergency, that's a little bit different. I want to know where my teams are, and you can you can configure these apps so that they do not report. We'll show you how to set these up, exactly what to put in there so that it's RF only, radio frequency only. It will not go any further than somebody's radio. It will not get reported into the APRS system. They do that on purpose because they want to avoid clogging of the system with unnecessary data. So they have built that in there so that you can go RF only. The other thing too, even if you are allowing your data to go into the internet, if you choose to, you can set the ambiguity of your location to precise all the way up to miles away from you. In fact, in these apps, you can manually choose your location on a map. And that's what I've done with both of these UV Pros that I have testing right now. If you map me out, or people that can see my call sign on the air, it looks like I am one of my stations, a little green Jeep, is at a amusement park, RV park in North Idaho. And the other one, a little red car, is in the Spokane Valley at an RV park. So you can manually set your locations, and where you see me on the map, that's not where I really am. But that's how it appears to others that are seeing you on a map. Also, Where these get reported to APRS.FI or APRS.TO is from the standardized calling frequency that's set up across the United States, 144.390. And that's where the iGate nodes, those stations, are parked on 144.390, and everything they hear, unless it says RF only or local communications, they report it to the APRS servers. So then they're displayed for anybody with internet access to go and see and track these stations. But a couple of solutions to that. First of all, move off that frequency. If we're operating in a disaster area, we will choose a frequency off the beaten path for operations on the radio in all of the various different bands where other people are not operating, so we're not interfering with them, and vice versa. And so none of that is getting reported. It's all internal to your group who are tracking each other. And once again, you've got the ambiguity. So you can place yourself anywhere you choose on the map. In a real world disaster, of course, we want accuracy. If I want to call for a medevac, I want that helicopter to know precisely where I am. But you can set this for ambiguity to the point where somebody's not going to be able to drop a missile on you from a drone based on those coordinates that they got from your APRS beacon. The other concern for many of us, including myself, I don't want to use the Google Play Store for anything if I can help it, or anything, period. Well, we have APK files available that will be downloadable that will not use the Play Store. For most of our phones, that will prompt you with a warning. This is an unknown source. You just click over or allow it and download the APK file so you're not going through Google. And the other concern, and this is another concern that I do share, it's Chinese. Btech is the U.S. Baofeng distributor. And one thing that I do know, and most of you know, China is, in their minds, already at war with the West, particularly the United States. And also, according to their doctrine, everything is part of the battlefield. So I can say in a civil defense situation, I would fully expect a passover from a satellite, a little command, bleep, and there goes my Baofeng, right? I accept that. That's why Baofeng's not the only thing that I have, but I also can't afford, and most of you cannot afford $700 for an APRS capable HT like from Kenwood. All, I would say 99.9% of everything that AmRRON has done has been disaster response. We're not worried about OPSEC, PERSEC. We're not being invaded. We are trying to help people that are stranded on their rooftops while the water's rising, and they are going to die if we don't get help to them and call for help. Nobody's trying to hide who they are. Nobody's trying to hide their location. We want precise locations conveyed. We want to help our fellow citizens. Same thing during wildfires, the same thing during hurricanes. So that is what we have these in mind for. Now, if we find ourselves in a civil defense situation and we do need to send data, packet data, these radios will do it fine. They'll do it great in the field. But have a backup or know that these could be part of the battlefield that will become unavailable to us. And in certain extreme situations, you may just want to brick the thing. Shoot it, blow it up, destroy it, drop it off a bridge in above a deep body of water, what have you. But for right now, these serve that purpose. Use it as long as you can, and when you can't, be prepared to walk away from it. That's my view. And for the price, $150 compared to just under $700, that price tag there puts a lot of people out of the game. And this price tag here, especially with the discount that we've negotiated with them, puts a lot of people in the game to help people during civil or disaster emergencies. So that's a little more in-depth introduction to the radio that we have identified as the official recommended AmRRON radio for deployments for disasters and disaster response. It's got more features than I was able to cover. There is a lot on the way as far as setting these up, making them useful in your local communities or when you are deploying, linking up with other teams. And these are going to be very, very helpful. So stick around, get your comms up. This is John Jacob Schmidt, out.